T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, everybody, to the 5 Foot Viking podcast, where we get to drink a beer and learn something new. I'm running a bit late today, and as you can see, this is not the normal place where I set up. I usually have a green screen, or if I have a guest, I'm in the other room. Can you hear?
No.
Oh, you can't hear? Let's try that. Is that better?
There we go.
Okay, maybe it was just the cables. But we are setting up in our living room. We're sitting on the couch. I figured it might be a little bit nicer to sit on a couch and enjoy, and I didn't realize how long it was going to take to set everything up. But we're here, and I am joined by my beautiful wife, Marlene Petrell. Say hello.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
So,
just want to say that we weren't running late. It wasn't no fault of my own.
No, it was not.
This time, I was on time.
This time, it wasn't Marlene's fault that we're running late.
Time.
It was absolutely 100% mine. I should have got to move on earlier and then tested all the stuff and then done all the other things, and tons of fun. We got some people jumping on already. This is great. Tone, how are you, sir? Good to see you on here. We've got a lot of beers that we're going to be talking about. We're going to drink all of them tonight. So, and by we, most likely, she might have one, but we're going to taste them all. That's for sure. Boris, always great to see you. My man. Alberto, big supporter of the show. Thank you for always being here. John, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Therese, one of my good friends. Glad to see Marlene. I like that.
Hello.
I'm here for
Thank you.
She wants to talk shoes.
Oh, shoot. Don't get me started.
And my pops up in Utah, it's skipping start, stop. Okay. Well, I guess I better I guess I better invest into some better internet moving forward. But all right, we're getting a lot of people on here. That's great. Mr. Edgar Namrock himself, tell Grogu I said hi in the back. We got Grogu in the back from the Mandalorian. Good times. So we got some people jumping on. This is awesome. So tonight's podcast is just a little bit different. I decided that, because I do this podcast once a week, we always have a guest and we're always talking about something new and learning something and having fun. But I thought it would be really cool. We did it last, season. We do 9 podcasts. And then on the 10th podcast, we just reflect on the last 9. And we kind of see where we came from, where we're going, what are we doing good? What are we doing? What can we improve on? And Marlene joined me on that last one. And it went over so well that I just thought that this is something that we should, it's just going to help us and move forward. And I'm curious, it's weird saying Marlene because you're my wife. And usually I'm like, babe.
It's weird for me to hear my name.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Well,
for the podcast purpose, I'm going to use your name because there's some people listening and watching and stuff. But, so Marlene, you watch the podcast all the time and you've seen it grow, but how effective are these podcasts where we get a chance to watch a little bit of a clip, kind of see how it goes, and maybe you've had a little bit more time to let it digest and stuff? Does it make a difference?
Well, yeah, I watch them all. I don't know. This is the second time. What do you expect from me?
No, well, no, I'm just saying, like, when you sit down and you get a chance to watch everything all right at the same time,
Yeah.
like, does it, because you get to see the progression right away instead
Well,
of
I
seeing it
forget
week
how
to
many
week.
people you had before. Like when you were cutting the clips, I was like, you had wait, that was this season?
Yeah.
That like it's just awesome to see the growth
Yeah.
and to see all the people that have joined the 5-Foot Viking family. It's really awesome. Like,
Yeah.
there's
No,
no growth per se. It's like a diversity of growth.
like just organic, just kind of what's fun for me too is seeing all the people commenting up here. Mr. Edgar Namrock.
No.
Marlene, ask what to say.
Oh,
102
this.
eggs in Spanish.
He
All right.
knows this.
If you, everybody at home, just Google it.
I'm sure that
I'm not going to
everybody
say
at home
that.
knows.
Oh, it's Murph time, buddy. Yeah, I need to get back into shape, buddy. I'll be reaching out to you because I haven't been to CrossFit in a long time, and I've definitely put on my fat jacket. So I got to get rid of this thing for summer. But Brenda Wooten, how are you? Woot woot. World According to Woot joining in. I know you have a big show coming up tomorrow as well, 7:00. If you guys are watching on Facebook, definitely tune into World According to Woot. And Tone, you are absolutely right. We need to pop a brew right now. So with that being said, the beers of the week, unfortunately, I didn't type everything out. So we're going to go. Which one do you want? You want to have the blonde? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the beers of the week, we are going with All American Brew Works in Anaheim. And these are my good friend Tone from Damage Inc. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tone, you do graphics for them or some type of marketing or something like that. But he recommended them highly. So there's one that says blonde. That'll be for you. And if you can grab me
Here we go. It's a pretty cool looking too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Very Captain America. I dig that. So you have
Anaheim. Yes, we've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You're grabbing the Barley. Barely there blonde. That's the golden lager with honey. And I'm gonna grab. I want the red. There's a red. Which one is it? Yeah, that's the Shamrock.
Okay, there. Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Well, that's pretty much what we're getting into today. Is a whole bunch of shenanigans. All right. So let's grab some of these. This is from All American.
Ooh.
All American Brew Works in Anaheim. Marlene is drinking the Barely There Blonde, and that is a golden lager with honey. It's 5%. And I am drinking the Stop Staring at My Shamrocks, and it's their annual Irish Red Lager.
That goes very fitting with my dress today.
Yeah, stop looking at your Shamrocks. Or stare at your Shamrocks.
Well, luckily I have very, very long hair that is going to go very soon.
You're going to chop it pretty soon, huh?
My Shamrocks.
Okay, well, so everybody at home, if you have a beer, put it in the air. Skull. Skull.
Here's to the 20th.
The 20th
show.
Podcast. Yes. Skull.
Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
good times.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Tone.
Thank you, Tone.
Thank you for providing the beers.
Mm-hmm. 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 That'll work.
May I?
Absolutely. That's a red. And we got a few more people jumping in here. Ignacio from Turnbull's Tavern. Brother, good evening. Good to see you.
Good too. Would you like to try?
Tone says veteran owned and ran. That's awesome. That's awesome. Dope. Mr. Schlitt. Hi, Whit and Marlene. How are you, sir?
Hello.
And I love how he's always, where's Dad? Hi, Bruce. That's great. Stephanie, good to see you. Love the support. Love that you support local. Yes, absolutely. That's one thing that we love to do here is support especially all the local breweries. We got a lot of them out here. Let's see. Sean says, Skull. I love that. Love that everybody's joining in on that.
Cool.
Alberto, not beer here today. Old fashioned. Salute. Okay. I like that too. That's very good.
Ooh, that's tasty.
Big hugs. Thank you, Tom. Well, let's do this. So I wanted to jump into the first clip that I made, which is from the podcast number 11, Let's Talk Fitness with Martin McLaughlin. Martin met him from the 80s Cruise Just great individual, super fun podcast. Talking with him, he was on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. It was just super cool to like dial that in. And let's take a look. I'm trying something new today, so I'm sharing a video file instead of uploading it from earlier. So let's just see how this works. Number 11. Let's bring this up and share it.
You would never know how I got to where I am based on where I was. When I was about 5, I woke up one morning and my knees were hurting. And what do you know at 5, and my mom tells me this story more than I remember it, but I complained about it every day. I woke up the next day, they were a little more swollen. They stopped bending. They stopped working correctly. Long story short, I wind up in a doctor's office. They send me to the hospital for some tests. Turns out I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And by that point, my knees were so swollen that they wouldn't bend at all anymore. So I was going through these treatments where they would take these, as a 5-year-old having one of those hypodermic needles. And they have 3 or 4 nurses trying to hold me down, and they're sticking these needles in my knees and draining all this fluid out. It was a nightmare. At one point, I spent about 2 weeks in the hospital because the inflammation was just so great. If they drained them on one day, they were filled again the next, trying to get me into a whirlpool to walk. So there was a period of time pre-first grade where I spent time in a wheelchair because that's just the way my life was going. And no one really knew at the time what to do. Motrin, Advil, ibuprofen wasn't invented yet. So all they had for me was children's aspirin, and who knows how many of those they were having.
And Jägermeister.
No wonder my dad drank so much. I get it now. All I did was cry. And so, and then I had God bless her heart, Mom, I love you so much. She was just super protective, still is to this day. Don't run, don't do this, don't do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. So for a long time, my whole life was about everything I can't do, what I shouldn't do. And I was very lucky. By the time I was probably in about 3rd grade, it just backed right off, kind of went into a state of remission. And I still to this day have flare-ups, not just in my knees, but all over my body. But it got to a point where I was functional. I was able to do things. And
is that something that's similar to a does it have something to do with like a chemical imbalance or anything like that? Like what is that called? Gout? Like where it's a buildup of lactic acid? Like, is it something similar to that?
It's actually an autoimmune disease that they don't really have a specific trigger for, but your body starts to treat the connective tissue, the soft tissue that covers your joints, as an enemy and attacks it and tries to break it down and destroy it. So you wind up with this incredible inflammation where if the soft tissue does get eroded, then you have bones touching bones. If you're young enough, sometimes that collagen will grow back. If this happens to you late in life, rheumatoid arthritis, you're in really big trouble. Then you're looking at joint replacements and things like that.
And that was that. I'm trying to keep some smaller clips, but
That's
that
incredible.
was such a fun podcast. And I guess I'm learning how to put in some video files. But yeah, so I remember after that podcast, it was difficult because like the time lag and plus our internet. I know that's one thing we got to step up. We got to step up our internet if we're going to be doing live streams and I want to give good quality. I got to make sure I'm not stopping and starting and doing all that. So, but hearing his story, and if you're seeing that clip for the first time, go back and watch podcast number 11 with Martin. He has just such an amazing, interesting story of how he's succeeded in life. And now he owns a fitness center out in, I think, right outside of Philadelphia. Super nice guy. Been through a lot of interesting turns left and right in his life. A motorcycle accident. And just jump back from a lot of stuff. So that was a fun actually, that was one of the first podcasts that I heard. I think he had like some reverb on his voice. Like, you know what I mean?
Honestly, this was one of my favorites. I know I have many favorites, but he was just, no, I didn't pay attention to that.
Okay.
I'm not that person that pays attention to the sound, and
I am.
It's like when we go to a restaurant, I pay attention to that because I worked in that for many years. When we go to a concert, when we go see somebody play, you pay attention to that. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Very true.
yeah. But he was great. I think his story was nothing short of amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was the epitome,
The epitome.
epitome of perseverance. Sorry,
The epitome.
inside jokes. But yes, he was just such a inspiring person.
Yes, very, very inspirational.
Incredibly inspirational. Absolutely.
And Alberto says, "What's the worst injury you have experienced?" Me personally, injury. I've had a lot of broken bones in my life. Lots of broken bones. I've been in a car accident, nothing too severe. Gosh, I can't really. You know what's funny, interesting to me is that most of my injuries are all like small ones. Like they're small little injuries, a broken arm, a twisted ankle, stuff like that. I haven't really had. I've been very, very, knock on wood, I've been very fortunate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Have you had any?
I have been very blessed that nothing that has happened to me has been major. So the only thing that I had was a fracture on my right hand wrist, like, and it sucked because it was in the middle of summer, and my grandma and my aunts were gonna take us to the beach, and it just sucked because I was in a cast, so I couldn't go. And
Did you go to the beach and just watch everybody?
no, I didn't get to go at all because my mom was like, "No, you're gonna want to get in there, and you can't."
Yeah.
So she knew me very well.
Yeah.
So,
you would have went in, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That thing would have stank.
And Dad, I just want to appreciate you for throwing my business out there again. Yeah, in 8th grade, I had a gymnastics accident where I jumped on a trampoline. I did 2 flips in the air and I landed on my face. But literally out of that whole thing.
On my face.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. Love it when you throw my business out there, Dad. Appreciate you. But that was actually, I wouldn't say that was my worst accident because I literally walked away from it. I went to the doctors. I was fine. The worst thing about it was I had some pulled muscles in my neck and like road rash on my face.
Yeah.
Like,
if we're talking about that, like I've had many things like that.
Oh,
like when
yeah.
I rode the scooter and like scraped my face
that's
on the
right.
on
You
the
smashed
wall.
into the wall.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That wall
When
jumped
my
out
mom
at you.
dropped what are those called on top of the roof?
A tile?
Yeah.
Like a roof tile?
Yeah.
What was your mom doing on the roof?
Well, she was putting it on the roof of my grandma's little bathroom outside in the patio. And I kept going, Mom. So she turned around and she dropped one of the ones on the side that was still loose. And it just like, I have a...
Really?
Yeah, I have a hole.
Oh. Wow. She has a hole, ladies and gentlemen, in her head.
That's one of my little...
Stephanie, super sprained ankle the week before my 40th birthday. Oh, that's no fun.
That sucks.
If that's not the universe telling me I'm old, I don't know what is.
Whoa.
Right? And then Marlene,
I just turned 40.
Marlene, I'm going to need you to, what does that say?
What?
The comment.
Oh, sorry. I'm expecting you to read it. Here with my Stella Artois. Cheers.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It's in Spanish,
Cheers.
so I don't.
I thought you... Oh, sorry. I was about to drink yours.
That's okay.
Salud.
Salud. My dad scared the hell out of your mom, who was That's right. Mom was videotaping when I did that double flip. And Mr. Schlitt, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Schlitt was there. In 6th grade, you almost died in my class. Oops, it was just a drama skit. Oh. That's true. All right, let's jump into the second. Let me see if I can. So
he was your drama?
Yeah, Mr. Schlitt was my drama teacher in 6th grade.
You did an amazing job because wit is quite dramatic.
As I'm a drama queen.
He's my dramatic
video file.
King.
We're gonna go to the podcast number 12. Let's see, where is it? There it is. No, it's not. There it is. And this is with World According to Woot.
Woot woot. Sorry.
that you did it, were you just holding the phone up, just hanging out outside? You know, how did you do it?
It was so ghetto. We had no idea what we were doing. Now
I still don't know what I'm doing.
So ghetto.
Yeah, no, I think you had a little tripod, right? That you put the phone on.
I feel like I might have held it the first couple times.
Did we just hold it?
I feel like I might.
We may have. Yeah, we may have done that. Man, it's so hard to even remember what we even talked about the very first time. But you know, it's great because a lot of my friends that I went to high school with will click on, and you know, we'll chat with them, and you know, we get to tell about the funny things that are going on in our life, like with mice in our kitchen. Which we saw another one today.
We have a
We
mouse.
just got rid of one,
We have
and
a
now we
mouse.
got another one today.
We have a
Wait,
mouse.
you got rid of Feifel?
We have another one.
Well, she put him out in the backyard, and he decided
He
okay,
circled around and came back in.
he was sitting at our table having a bowl of cereal this morning.
He circled around and came back in.
Oh yeah, see, Robin says she remembers the selfie. WAW.
Yes.
Yep.
No iPods.
Oh, should we tell the
arms
Robin
there.
story? Should we tell the
Go
Robin
ahead and
story?
tell the Robin story.
So, do you know Robin Rawls?
Yes.
Well, of course. he
So,
knows
do you want to
that.
hear the funniest story ever of my first encounter with Robin?
Hold on a second. Go.
Big Bear. So we were in Big Bear. So Robin. So Long Run had just gotten done playing, and Robin wanted to take pictures with the band. Well, I walked up to my husband, I think to tell him, I'm going to the car, I'm going to go get something. And the minute I whispered into Jim's ear, Robin Rawls comes over to me and says, "It's my turn." Basically letting me know that I was skipping the line. So instead of letting her know, my husband, I said, "Okay, no problem. I'm gonna stand back." So I did. And then somehow she found out who I was.
Yeah. And
it's been an amazing relationship ever since.
no, she didn't say it's my turn. She said, "Excuse me."
She said, "Excuse me, it's my turn."
Look at
I
this. Look at this. She said, "Excuse me."
We love Robin.
It was the best. It was the best. So now whenever I see Robin, I have to say, "Excuse me."
Excuse me. That's awesome. That was the episode 12 with Jim and Brenda Wooten. They have a podcast called World According to Woot, and they are just they're way too much fun. They are a hoot. Woot is a hoot. They are just way too much fun. They ended up having me on their podcast, I think a few weeks later as well. And it was fun. They are so much fun together just to watch because like a husband and wife, and they laugh at each other and they tell stories and they have it's just a lot of fun to watch them. But having them on the podcast was a blast. The only kicker that I know I can improve is the internet quality. Like I really want that internet quality to be better. And it was much more difficult when somebody you don't have control over their internet. You just only have control. So I think there was a couple of times that there's dropped, and we talked about it afterwards, and they were looking into their internet as well. But
it happens. Listen, we're not here for the perfection. We're here for the interaction.
Yeah, very true. But you get better interaction when you have perfection. We got a few more people. My sister up in Utah, Shivani. Grampy was videotaping. Mom was level-headed and went into emergency mom mode. Wit was lucky in quotations and hit the zipper part of the pad. That sucked. I love how thanks, Dad, for starting that conversation and pouring lime on that wound. We got Luis, bro. I've said hi to you a few times, but I think it's post when you put the comments up, it's afterwards. But Luis came out to San Manuel so many times, religious. He would sing La Negra Tomasa and La Bamba a few times. And the craziest part is during his show, he would clap his hands, like make that noise. And he would go into the splits on the stage while he was singing La Negra Tomasa.
Oh,
he would go into the splits. Do you remember
missed that? No.
Oh, you missed it?
Probably.
It was I'm not even kidding. Like I'm a good storyteller, but I can't make that shit up. It was really good.
You can make a lot of things up. By the way, fun fact. Elizabeth Saldaña, those are my middle names.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I'm Mexican and I have many names.
You have like 7 names.
I have like all these names. That's funny.
Grumpy was the one who kept me from thinking Whit died. His commentary, I think, was more for CG and I. Yeah, that's true. He's fine. Look at him. He's all right. All right, let's get off of this. We need to stop talking about this. Let me get a drink real quick. Some more of this fantastic All-American Brew Works in Anaheim. Sorry. Cheers. Skol. Mm-hmm. All right, moving right along. We went to podcast number 13. And number 13, this was a fun one. This was with my good friend Berto. And Berto is a loan officer. And we talked all about home lending. It went for like an hour and a half, but there was so much knowledge in this podcast. Hold on. Before we jump into this, Shivani has a great question. Okay, wait. What is Marlene's full name?
Gosh.
How
do
many
you want
names
the Mexican way or do you want the American way? Because if it's the American way, it's just Marlene Saldana Petrell.
The Mexican way. Let's do this. You remember all the names?
Yeah. So
how many of it? You don't have to say your full Mexican name, but like
Marlene Elizabeth Saldana Moreno de Petrell.
All right. From now on, that is how I'm gonna put her name up on the.
No. Oh God, you're gonna run out of space.
All right, so let's get back into it. So this podcast was with Berto. He's a loan officer here in Southern California, and we dove into literally like just home lending 101 and like what it took to get into a home. All the different things about credit, about down payments, about FICO scores, about like all that stuff. So here's just a small clip. Where am I going? What number is this? Number 13. Here we go. Number 13, home loans. Talk about the 3 tips and then I'll let Berto expand on them. So the first one, Berto says, tip number 1, save as much money as you can before buying a home. Even though down payment assistance is an option, it's always better to have your own money if you can. So if you can expand on that just a little bit. Nothing I can do about that.
You want to really have the 3 or 3.5% down payment yourself. You can get assistance for that, but the terms aren't going to be as good as if you have your own cash for your down payment. And the loans with down payment assistance are hard. They're harder to qualify for also. Those are first time home buyer programs. And a lot of people think, first time home buyer, they're going to be very lenient with me, but that's actually not the case. They're harder to qualify for, and you get not as good terms on them. But they do help. The way they help you is they do help you with the down payment if you don't have it. So you're still able to buy a house. But either way, it's best to have your own cash for the down payment if you can make that happen.
Okay. All right. And tip number 2 would be pay off as much debt as you can. The less you have, the more house you can afford.
Right. And we just went over that for every dollar debt you have, it's $3. You have to make $3 a month before you even qualify for the house payment. So the least amount of debt you have, the more house you're going to qualify for.
So if you want to buy a house, don't go out and buy a car.
Yeah, that's cars are home loan qualification killers.
Really? Okay.
They are, especially the home with 2 car loans. Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, never co-sign for a car loan for anybody,
Really?
because I've seen people come apply for a loan and they have 4 or 5 car loans on their credit report. Oh, that's my
but
I
that's not my
co-signed-
car.
Yeah, it's not mine. It's my cousin's. Well, you borrowed the money for it. You bought it in your name, so it's your debt, and now you can't buy a house.
Oh, well, with this tip, paying off your debt, and I know we were talking a little bit about car loans and credit cards and stuff. Is it better to have a 0 credit card debt and a car payment, or no car payment and a credit card debt?
No car payment and credit card debt is definitely
It's
better.
definitely better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know, but you need people need cars. So you know, what are you going to do? But
you don't need a Tesla, bitch.
Best case is, get a cheaper car, or don't finance the car. And especially if you think you're getting ready to buy, maybe you're about to pay your car off, or you're in the mood to buy a new car. Just wait, because it's going to hurt you on the qualifying for the home loan. So if you buy your car after you buy the house.
Thank you. I forgot to unmute my microphone. I appreciate it. See, I got to learn how to do this, babe.
Tone, these are pretty good. You already hear them.
Tone, these beers are fantastic. I forget to turn shit on. So,
thank you for the... Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for jumping in there. Because I would have kept going, like just going like the Energizer Bunny. But anyways, what I was saying was, I've had conversations with Birdo since this podcast. And if you haven't seen that podcast and you're looking to buy a home sometime soon, take the hour and a half out of your day, go to the 5footviking.com. You can listen to that episode on Spotify. You can listen to it on Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. Just look up the 5 Foot Viking. That is a great one. Just put it on while you're driving. He was dropping so much knowledge on all the things that you need to do to prepare to get into a home.
Yes, definitely hit him up if you are looking for some advice. He's amazing, and he has so much knowledge. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was super cool. So since then I was talking to him, and he was even saying, we were talking about cars, because like I have a car payment and it's a high car payment. So that's one thing that we were talking about. And he's like, well, if you can pay it off. And I said, no, probably not. And he's like, well, if you can get out of it and get into something else that has a lower car payment, that helps. Pay down your credit cards, do this. So he just definitely has a wealth of knowledge. And that podcast is just gold. It's like 90 minutes of just knowledge. So if you get a chance, definitely go check that out. I love this. This is, we got a couple people lost sound, but I want to jump back up to this because this was great. Don't get a Tesla, bitch. That was yeah. I mean, I just said that because they're expensive, but
everybody has one.
What is this? Oh, you were that person with the muter. You're muted. You're muted. Yeah, that's me. I'm that dude. Alberto jumping in here. I have 2 houses back in Mexico in Chihuahua. Wow, I said Chihuahua correctly without saying Chihuahua. Probably I'll end up going back someday. Hey, you let us know if you want to rent out the other one. We'll go with you. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How is that part of Mexico?
I don't know. I've never been. We've been to Marlene.
No, I never been either. But
Well, Marlene is from Guadalajara.
yes,
Have you lived anywhere else other than Guadalajara? Just Guadalajara?
here.
Yeah.
That's
But
it.
I mean, I would love to live at like Cabo.
A million places here. Just want home back home.
Love it. Okay. Good. That's the dream, right? Is to get some houses here, let them pay for themselves, and then go retire to Cabo, where we can get buckets of Dos Equis
For 2 pesos. I'm just kidding.
for $2. So yeah. Anyways, if you're looking to purchase a home anytime soon, or at least get yourself into a better position, so maybe in the future you want to do
I
that.
learned a lot.
Yeah,
I
me
learned
too.
a lot. Yes.
Berto is the man. That's true.
Berto is a man.
All right, let's jump into the next podcast, which was podcast number 14. And number 14 was Q&A. And the reason it was Q&A is because I dropped the ball and I didn't get a guest for that. I thought I did, but I didn't have a guest for that week. So I put it out on Facebook and Instagram, and I said, hey, I'm just going to do a Q&A. And to be honest, it actually worked out pretty well. So here's a quick clip.
And when you're going to school full time,
Yeah, going to school full time and
give yourself some credit, man.
doing
That's
a lot of
awesome.
stuff and trying to balance a whole lot of stuff. It just, some
But you
things.
still did it because he was actually thinking about just taking a break that day. I was like, why? You said that you were going to do a podcast every Tuesday for the rest of the year. So just do it. Just go ahead and talk to everybody.
Mhm.
And
I was struggling with it that day. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just not going to do a podcast. Just not going to do it. And so
you're great at having conversations.
Yeah.
So.
So this is the Let's Talk Q&A. If you could interview anyone from your life, living or dead, but not a celebrity, who would it be and why? And I talked about this one just recently with my wife. No, I talked about this recently with my dad. I would interview my grandpa Andy. Grandpa Andy passed away just a few years ago. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was 91 or 92. And Grandpa Andy was awesome. Grandpa Andy was super cool. Man, I really miss that guy. And he led such an interesting life. And I'm just going to give you the cliff notes of just how awesome this guy was. He made some mistakes and he made some victories, but he was in the Merchant Marines as a young kid. He was stationed over in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. He was also a raging alcoholic. He was a raging alcoholic back then. He told me stories of how he went on the God. So he went from the ship that he was stationed on to the mainland and would get schmammered. And then he'd wake up in his bed on the ship. And he even told me one night, he was like, you don't realize how difficult it is to get back on the ship. Like, you got to get into a line. You got to drive there, get in the line. You got to show them your orders. Then you got to get on a boat. Then you got to take the boat over to the ship. And then you got to show them your orders again. And then so he's like, I did all this like shit-faced. and he was, that was an interesting part of his life. And then he got sober and he rode motorcycles and he was a skier and he took pictures and he just did a lot of cool stuff. Then he got sober and he was sober for 50 years before he passed. He had the coins and he went to the meetings and he drank the coffee but he had no problem with telling me the stories. And I would have loved to interview him on this podcast. That would have been so freaking cool because one story that on his 91st birthday, I was hanging out with him and, everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And I just sat down next to Grandpa Andy and I'm talking with him and he goes, and I asked him, I said, Grandpa, I'm like, what was your first car? I'm curious what your first car was. And he said, and he took a second and he said, I can't remember what model it was, but I remember I paid $15 for it. And I thought that was I just thought that was really a really cool story. And he kind of told me about his first motorcycle that he got was a 1939 Indian Chief. I thought that got the picture of that. So, anyways, that would be the person in my family that I would love to interview. That would have been fun. Yeah, that's very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
That was Grandpa Andy was freaking awesome. And and speaking of Grandpa Andy, actually today is Grandma Claire. It was her birthday today. She unfortunately Grandma Claire passed away just maybe I think 2 weeks after Grandpa Andy. And I just thought that was poetically beautiful actually. But Grandma's birthday would have been today. I don't know how old. I want to say
Forever young.
Yeah, forever young. I want to say she was going to be like 82 or something like that, like in her 80s. I know she was in her 80s. She didn't. But anyways, everybody at home, if you got a beer or if you got a drink or if you have some vitamin water, put it up for Grandma Claire because she used to love the box wine. She was all about the box wine.
We bought her one. And
Yeah.
we shared it.
She always had the box wine. And even though Grandpa, he was sober, but she would always keep a couple beers in the fridge for whenever I showed up. So whenever I showed up, the beer was there and I could have a beer with Grandma and she would have her box of wine. So anyways, skull, ladies and gentlemen, skull to Grandma Claire.
Quite a lovely lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was beautiful. And Grandpa Andy was awesome. That's
I think that was a great question.
I can't remember who asked it, but somebody had posed that question to me, and I thought that was pretty cool. Because a lot of people say they would like to interview a celebrity or right. Someone famous, Abraham Lincoln or something like that. But the way they posed the question, making it about family, I was like, that was interesting, but I had some great. I think I got to have that interview with Grandpa Andy. It just didn't get to be on the podcast. It was but we got a couple. Shivani Skull, yes indeed.
Skull.
Jump back up. Alberto, family is everything. Absolutely, 100% agree.
100%.
Also, all those stories from our grandparents, I remember so much. The best conversations. Mm-hmm. The knowledge that they had and the experiences. I think that's what I learned the most from. It was the experiences that they had that were just so incredible. Yes, happy birthday, Claire, Grandma Claire. Love those stories. Yes. Oh, Dad jumped on. 87, I believe. She would have been 87 today. That's awesome.
That's quite a life.
What was your first car?
Question for both.
Okay. My first car I ever bought was a 1965 Ford Mustang. And don't think that you got a Mustang, because it was a piece of shit. It was a big piece of shit. I worked
But it was your piece
But it was
of shit.
My piece of shit. And
that I wish I had today.
Oh yeah. I'd be honest, I wish I did have that car today, but I spent all of my junior year in high school working after school at Donut Man in Glendora. If anybody is familiar with
Shout
Donut
out
Man.
to Donut Man, because they're best donuts.
The best donuts.
Best hot chocolate and best coffee.
Yeah, best everything. They're
not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Wish we could be.
Yet, Jim. Jim was the owner back then. I think Jim has sold it since then. But
they're at Grand Central Market.
Yeah,
now.
They opened up a second location.
Yeah.
So I was back in the OG, and I saved up, and I worked every day after school, and I saved up my money. And then in the summer, in between my junior and senior year, I went and bought it was a piece of shit 65 Ford Mustang with an inline straight six. So it wasn't great, but it was it wasn't super fast, but it sounded great. And it was mine because I paid cash, and it was $1,700, and it was my car. And I had the pink slip that said my name on it. So that was my first car. How about you? What was your first car that you got?
So The first car that I had actually wasn't that I bought. I'll tell you the first car that I bought. But my first car was a 1981 Nissan Sentra that my stepdad had bought for me because long story short, actually no story, but he bought me that little car, as okay, well, you're on your merry way, so I hope this helps you out.
Yeah.
And it took me from point A to point B. It was a piece of shit as well, but it was my piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it was reliable and I loved it. And then it left me stranded in the middle of the freaking freeway. And my good friend George Morales, he came to my aid. And after that, my first car that I bought, it was an Eclipse Mitsubishi that I bought for $3,000. It was a stick shift, and I had to learn in 1 hour to drive it. And my friend Mario, he helped me, and we went to this. It was like a parking lot, like kind of like where what is it
Get a
called?
mall or something like that?
Industrial.
Okay, yeah.
He was like, "Okay, girl, my car is stick shift, so go for it." And I was like, what?" And it was horrible because it turned off so many freaking times, and I was like,
because you
"Jesus
stalled it out?"
Christ." Well, I'm learning. I had 1 hour, and in that 1 hour, I learned, and I went to pick up my car, and I drove it home.
Nice.
Somehow it turned off only 3 times, but oh my God.
That's good. Oh, we got my other sister, Tambra. She's over in Arizona, I think, right now. Shivani Petrell Vera, is he dead? I remember hearing, oh yeah, we're also going back to when I did the flips and landed on my face. Somebody said, "Is he dead?" I'm not even kidding. You could hear it on the thing. Somebody said, "Is he dead?" That's true. I remember that. Lady yelled, "He's dead."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's horrible. Oh, yeah. I don't think your parents
Yeah.
thought it was awesome.
I had a Mach 1. Oh, and lasted
One
one
whole
whole
month. Hey.
Oh, no. What happened? All right, you're going to have to tell me tomorrow. Stephanie, I didn't realize how amazing those donuts were until I moved out of state. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dad sold it. I don't know.
What?
I don't know what he's referring to. But anyways, let's move on to the next one, which this was a fun one. And I didn't realize I was going to get a chance to do this. But those of you that know me, I'm a professional musician. And for the last maybe 5 years or so, I've been doing a lot of the cruise lines. I'm sorry. I say cruise lines and I said it wrong. It's actually cruise charters. I do cruise charters, which are...
Yeah, get it right, Whit.
No, it's not, because Lodge, you'll see after I put this video up, because I get corrected. It's actually... I work for
and you're used to that.
I work
now,
for
yeah?
the cruise... Yeah, I do, actually. Good. I work for the cruise charters, which are then chartered on the cruise lines. But I got a chance to interview the director of production, Mr. Joey Fairchild. And this dude is like the top dog, the man who makes it happen. I mean, if it's something entertainment wise that is going on the ship, he's in charge of this. And he's just
with such ease.
He's just super cool. He's a cool dude. He goes with the flow. He knows how to create a good event. He knows what goes into it. He's really good at planning. And so I had the opportunity to interview him.
And he doesn't stress out. Even if he's stressing out of his mind, he doesn't show it. I think that's very respectable.
Yeah, I trust me, I show it.
That's hard. Yeah.
So here's a little clip from Joey Fairchild on the podcast number 15. Or to themed cruises. Now you corrected me before, which I think we should talk about it real quick before we jump into this, because I've always called it cruise lines. I've always said, yeah, it's the cruise line that I work on. When people ask me about the 80s cruise, or they ask me about the Star Trek cruise, or the upcoming cruise that's the High Seas Rally, which we're super excited about that one coming up as well. I always tell people, yeah, it's, we do all the cruise lines, which I was corrected today. So can you explain a little bit why it's not called cruise lines? Why what we do is not called cruise lines?
Well, we work with a cruise line or cruise lines. So part of our job at Entertainment Cruise Productions is to pick ships. So throughout the years, different cruise lines, as you mentioned, will approach us and say, hey, come check out this ship or come check out that ship. We think this ship will work great for your program. And then part of my job and the rest of the team's job at ECP Entertainment Cruise Productions is to go around and look at all the different ships that cruise lines offer. And then we actually rent the ship. So we don't work for the cruise lines. The cruise lines almost work for us, you could say. You know, we are using them as a vendor. So we go to different cruise lines and rent the ship for the week, take it over, and make it our own.
So when I'm talking with
really
my
a
friends,
charter company. So we're a cruise charter company. So we do full ship charters. We take over the entire ship. So just like when you first started with us, you know, you did the 80s cruise when you did it then. We were on Celebrity. And then you guys have done Star Trek cruise, which we've been on Norwegian. Right now, we've got both of those programs on Royal Caribbean on a new, bigger, badass ship. So we move around, you know, and we always are looking at what cruise lines offer, what ships work great for the program. So that's kind of the difference, if that makes sense.
how often do you, I mean, you're approached all the time by cruise lines to check out their, I guess, their product, their ship. How often, you know, do you find yourself leaning towards other companies?
I mean, we're always looking, you know, that's the one thing with the cruises is there's so much planning that goes into it. You know, it's not just working a couple months before the cruise. It's a couple years, you know, we're always ahead of it. You know, the lineup is announced on the ship, which means that has to be in place. The ship has to be in place. The dates have to be in place. So there's a lot.
Uh-oh, I didn't realize it was done. Anyways, I got corrected multiple times from Mr. Joy Fairchild, but that's just because I wasn't full with the terminology. But while we were listening to that, removed from studio, I ended up opening up another beer from All American Brewery, All American Brew Works, and the one that I opened up right now is the Aircraft Bringer Inner Dude. And it's a hazy pale ale with Simcoe and Amarillo hops, 5.7. So I'm gonna see how this one goes. But you know what? One thing that here we go. Skull. Oh, that's very different. Hazy IPA.
But tell them what you said when you said, "Oh, I'll do that beer."
Because did I get the wrong one?
No,
you said you would like. I said I would do the dudes.
Well, because on the can it says
this is dudes.
Dude. So he said, well,
I said,
I'll do the dude.
I said, you drink that one and I'll do the dude. She's like, excuse me? So, but anyways, to back up just a little bit.
Listen, to each his own, baby. To each his own. I'm a supportive wife, so
yes.
You know what?
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
But to back up a little bit, the podcast with Joy Fairchild, that one, not only did we learn so much about what goes in, because that podcast, that was just a small little segment, but we literally talked about the planning stages. We talked about the 80s cruise. We talked about the Star Trek cruise, the High Seas Rally cruise. Also, Joy Fairchild grew up in production. He grew up basically on the road.
That was his element.
It was such a great podcast to listen to his story and how he worked with people like George Benson and the Foo Fighters and Queen and he wanted to be a lighting production, set designer or lighting, something to do with lights. But he was doing so well with the production side of things, they ended up just saying, hey, we should hire you to do this. And he went with it, and now he's killing it.
I think he has one of the coolest jobs because, yes, of course, it's still a job and you still have to make sure everything flows beautifully and keep everybody entertaining. And if anything, like I said, 2020, like I noticed things behind the scenes and things that I hear from you, but what I see because I always stayed with, the public and all the cruisers and, so I got to see it from both sides. But like I said, Joey handled everything so smoothly. Like you wouldn't have had a clue that there was so much chaos going on behind, because bands canceled. Certain people wanted to get off the ship because
Yeah.
they canceled, and it's like, stop the ship. Screw this vacation. You're on a vacation. Like, how blessed are you that so many people wish they were on your spot?
Yeah.
Yet you're like, oh no, that's it. The band is gone. Then that's it.
Yeah.
But they work so hard on making everything so fun and so entertaining and just safe, keeping everybody safe. So just for me to see that, to know what's going on, but to see everybody just like handling everything so great, like that right there tells you how much experience they have handling that. But I think it's just such a cool job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were muted that whole time. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't even know what I said.
No, that'd be hilarious though. Oh man. Yeah. Sorry, babe. Can you start over? Because we were muted that whole time. No, I'm just kidding. We got my Uncle Jeff jumping in. Whit, do you know the way to San Jose? Yes, I do. Actually, I do. And then Dad, the whole sold it. Yeah, no, it was Jim. He sold it. Steph, now I make sure I have room for a carry-on when I travel. Just for the donuts. Very, very true. Knowledge drop.
Just a little side note on the donuts. Whenever I go back home, if you know me, you know I'm a fatty. Whenever I go back home, there's these donuts, and they're these little tiny donuts that they make in El Centro in Guadalajara. And you can smell them, and they just take me back to my childhood, because I remember love going there. My mom will take me when I was good, and it didn't happen very often. So now whenever I go back, I ask whoever to take me there. I get my little bag of donuts and eat them right there and then, because they make them warm. They fry them right there and then. But then I buy another extra bag for me to bring back home.
Wow.
And, they're so delicious, and I could eat them forever.
So what's the name of that place?
I have no idea. They're called Donitas.
So
that's all I know. But
donut,
it's in El Centro. Listen, the smell.
Donut hombre.
The smell, and you'll know when there's this smell that as soon as I smell it, it's like, I can taste them. That's how good they are.
That's how much sugar is in there.
Yeah.
All right. We got Steph. Yes, girl. Love all that good food. Yes.
It's experiences. See how
and see Alberto. This is they're so different. Donuts in Mexico are delicious.
But they're like these little donuts. Like they're like so thin, just like you eat in one bite.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I don't know how we started talking about donuts again.
Once
we start talking about donuts, it's kind of hard to
Let's go back to the 80s.
Talk about donuts, but
because that was so much fun.
But that one of the pivotal moments in that podcast, and this is just because this podcast is a reflection and a recap podcast. I do like pointing out certain things, like Joey. Unfortunately, because we're in different states, I don't have control over all of the audio. So there were times that I noticed in his podcast at the end, he was a little bit further away from his mic. It was very difficult to hear him. So
like me?
Yeah, like this, like this. But there's times when I'm like, I think in the future, I think it's probably better if I do maybe a test run or something like the day before, just to make sure our audio is running.
Don't?
No, I don't. I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants, and
we learn something new.
As you can tell, like today we started 10 minutes late because my dumbass had to jump in the shower, and I was running super late, and then I was gonna wear a bandana, and I was like, I didn't have time for it, and I don't have time for this, and I didn't plug in all this stuff, and I'm a chicken with my head cut off. That's what I am.
May I just point something out? That 2020 really made me like be on time for everything. Like, do you notice how I no longer I wait for you? You notice how I don't wait for you don't wait for me anymore? Let
me ask you this. Do you think that 2020 helped you out with your punctuality or fucked up mine?
No, I think 2020, one thing that I don't do anymore is wear makeup. And that cut a lot of time. And now I'm ready. Like, So what's up? And you're used to me taking.
Well, also in 2020, my beard got longer and my hair got longer, so I got more stuff to do here. Okay.
Whatever, man. Yeah. Okay.
Let's just agree to disagree on this one.
Yes.
So, but back to that podcast. I think that moving forward, I should do some test runs beforehand just to make sure that the audio is good, and because like on the fly, I couldn't fix that. I can't fix that from.
But
where
you
I am.
learn it as you go, and I
Yeah.
think that podcast was so awesome.
Yeah.
It was so entertaining for all of us to hear Joey's story and how everything works, and I just like the fun that you see outside.
Yeah.
You know,
That
everybody
behind the
sees-
scenes.
Yeah, everybody see the green room.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you actually hear like, yeah, they're going crazy calling bands and seeing how they can fix things, and something didn't work out, and hey, can trial by fire play today? Like,
Mhm.
oh, we're at the pool by
Yeah.
sure, like gather your
You know what's super cool, and to be honest,
gather
probably
the troops and go.
the very best part of that podcast was at the very end. Joey said to me, he said, "Hey, wait, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing here, and I'm thinking that we should do a 5 Foot Viking podcast on the 80s cruise." And if you go back to that podcast at the very end, you listen to me. I didn't know what to say, but I was so excited. I just said, "I'm fucking down." Like, definitely not the PG-13 in me.
Is
but-
this PG-13 though?
We're on YouTube and Facebook. We
Okay.
can say whatever we want, I guess. But I'm
We're talking about beers.
the fact that he wants me to do the podcast on the 80s cruise. And just a side note to everybody out there, I messaged Joey Fairchild yesterday and I said, "Hey, I'm going to be doing a recap. Is there any news about the cruises that you'd like me to pass along? Anything about like, I don't know, updated, precautions and things like that or something like that." And he said, "There's no news right now. The only things that I can think of is 4 things. 1, the 80s cruise is sold out. 2, the Star Trek cruise is sold out. 3, the High Seas Rally cruise that's coming up in October is almost sold out. It's almost done. There are still some available. And the 4th thing is the 5 Foot Viking podcast will be a part of the 80s cruise next year." So I'm like, I'm blown away. I'm kind of like, to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I get a little chills. I get no, but I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not
But-
an interviewer.
Sorry. I just think this is. You ask questions to everybody. That's interviewing pretty much.
True.
So
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Skull.
Skull. Thanks, babe.
Skull to that.
I appreciate
That is
you.
so cool.
Yeah, I'm just, to be honest,
Enjoy the ride.
I'm
Just
super
enjoy the
excited
ride,
for
man.
I'm super excited for the opportunity because I'm a musician dude that's trying something else, and I might be good at it, I might be no good at it, but I'm having fun with it. So the fact that Joey Fairchild is giving me the opportunity to interview some pretty incredible people, like if I get a chance to be up there and interview like Berlin,
Well, how about don't kill it? Like just
I don't know.
It's
I'm
organic.
excited.
Let it
Let me just
happen.
let's let it breathe a little bit. So, anyways, I'm just excited for that.
I'm excited for you.
I think it should be fun. So, if I were to interview anybody from the 80s, who would you think would be a good guest, like an 80s guest on the 5 Foot Viking? I don't know. I'm going to pose that question to you guys. Who would you like me to interview from that? Let's jump into a couple people that have been. Oh, Mr. Adam Van Dyke. Yes. I'm so glad you're on here, my friends. One of the best human beings you'll ever meet. And to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, you will be meeting him because he will be a guest on this podcast. I can't
he
wait.
should be a guest. on the
100%.
podcast.
This dude drops nothing but knowledge.
There's a verb for you, sir, and it's a great one. It's just
Yeah. Whenever we
I
work
have no
through
words.
stuff, it's literally
those
like
Phoenix moments.
there's Phoenix moments. We call them Phoenix moments as well. It's where if we're going through a trial or tribulation in our life, it's something on some obstacle, and then we move forward past it and we think our way through it and we figure it out. We literally call it Adam Van Dyking ourselves.
And this is a great introduction to the next clip, because this is when I said I just Adam Van Dyke myself, because it was like one of those, like one thing led me to another and to another and to another, and I haven't had the pleasure of talking to you yet, but through it's just wow, you're amazing.
Yeah,
you're an amazing human. Thank you.
We got a few more people. My sister, I'm just a 5-foot Viking dude. That's awesome. Well, I think I missed a few up here. We got Grace. How are you, Grace? 80s Cruise podcast would be very cool. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I think that would be a lot of fun. And my good friend Frank. Frank, how are you, sir?
Frank.
Good to see you. Thanks for being on here. Where are the puppies at?
Sleeping.
Oh, they're sleeping right
Bowie
next to us.
took me out for a run today, and he's out.
Bowie's done. Yeah.
He took me for a 6-mile run today, and he's like.
Thank you, my friends. Dinner and drinks to come from Mr. Adam Van Dyke. That yes,
would be awesome.
Very, very true. That will happen soon. Well, let's jump into the next one real quick. Moving right along. The next.
Hey, wait! I saw.
Oh, sorry.
Go up a little.
Where am I going?
That's a really cool one, and thank you very much. I am pretty down.
One more time. Where?
Cool.
Oh, Alberto.
Yes.
Thanks to your awesome wife. She's so cool.
Oh,
yeah, I would have to agree.
Thank you. Not that cool, but thank you.
No, you're very cool.
I'm all right.
Very cool. Very lucky.
Me?
Well, yes, you're very lucky too, but I'm a lucky man. That's for sure. Let's jump into so the next podcast, which this one was out of control. This is podcast number 16.
This one was.
This one, this is probably the biggest production that I did. I got my friend Zach to come over and do 3 camera angles. I went into Decades in Anaheim. I got a couch. I got and the owner from Decades, Mr. Randy, is just one of the coolest dudes. He just had my back on this, and I wanted to interview all 3 owners of Taco ZK, and I wanted to try something new, see if I could do this. This took a lot out of me. There was a lot of. It took me out of my comfort zone, but it sure was fun. So let's take a look at this clip from 5-Foot Viking podcast number 16 with Taco ZK. Laugh. Tacos por qué? So why tacos? Like that was the don't worry, I'm gonna switch it right now because that's not the name of it. It's actually Tacos Ike. But my first question is let me talk to Joe first on this one. So how did you guys get together on this? I know you guys are all friends, but how did you guys formulate and decide that we're going to move forward with the taco business?
Well, before the taco business, we, during the pandemic, we got to spend a lot of time with each other because we weren't busy, so we were having Taco Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays at anybody at Brian's house or just Fabian's house, my house, and we were getting together. So we just started cooking a lot. So that led up to one night just having a good time. The 3 of us around the table and just discussing food, and then talking about opening up a restaurant. And it's like, well, this is the beginning.
Do any of you guys remember the moment when you're like, you know what? Like you guys are sitting in a hot tub and all of a sudden you're like, you know what we're going to do tomorrow?
That's exactly how it happened.
That's exactly how it happened.
That's exactly how it happened. Because they were talking about food and, these guys are amazing cooks.
Okay.
Amazing cooks.
Okay. Who's the number one chef in the out of the 3 of you guys?
I think
no comment.
Both of us, Fabian and I, we do the cooking. I've always cooked. It's been honestly, since I was a kid, as long as I've been playing music, I've been into cooking, so it's always been a passion of mine. It's something that I wanted to pursue, but it's such a crazy business, right? It's like, why do that when music is great to you?
Right? Yeah.
So it's like, nah, I'll just do music. But yeah, and Fabian is a great cook. And I didn't know that ahead of time. Like we met and we were just talking about the passion of cooking, Joe and I were hanging out. He would come. I remember Joe came to the house and he brought lobsters and shrimp and And I just
What?
like grabbed him and I just started making stuff. And he's like, bro, how did you just make that? I was like flambeing it with
In,
tequila.
in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I was like,
What?
whoa,
we were like tearing it up. And one day we were, like he said, we were barbecuing at his house. And we started talking about food. And then Fabian was like, dude, I'm just as passionate about food.
Uh-huh.
Just the way you're talking about food. I feel the same way. And it was really Joe that pushed the whole thing. He was like, okay, so like, are we going to do this or what? Like
Nice.
typical
Nice.
Joe. You know what I mean? Like typical
Joe.
All right,
Joe.
that's enough
Like,
talking.
all right,
Let's
hey,
do it.
Yeah,
that's
like,
enough
are
talk.
we going to talk about it or are we going to do this? And we're like, well, what are we going to do? And I was expressing to them how like I always wanted to open a restaurant. And literally, I would tell my wife, like, sometimes I feel like I'm missing my calling. Although it's like I've been successful in music, it's just like I really feel like I have something in the
Something
cooking.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I go, but like it's too crazy. And Joe was like, dude, are we going to talk about this or are we going to do
Yeah.
it? And I was like, well, let's meet at my house. And the next morning, Fabian called me. And Fabian and I were acquainted, but we weren't like, you know, close either. Like we're bros, but it's like we're getting to know each other. And he called me. He's like, look at bro, the way you were speaking about food, like I'm serious, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm into it like that. If you want to do something and Joe's down, like let's do it.
Yeah. That was that podcast was there were so many moving parts on that. And man, that was so much fun. But it took a lot out of me because I'm trying to be the dude that's running the podcast, the dude that's doing the interview, the dude that's doing this. I was wearing so many hats. The dude that went to go get the couch and put it on the stage, the dude who's running the lights. Like wow. I can't believe that happened, but
And it paid off.
it was super cool.
That was a
super
really good
cool.
one. And once again, that personally, it was a very inspiring podcast for me. You know, I don't want to go into detail, but it inspired me 100%. Like I was the whole time. I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, that spoke to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are homies and
Mhm.
and we've all been musicians, and then to have them start a taco business and then just
And
go
thrive in
and
2020.
blow into it like
Yeah.
blow up. It was super cool to see
Especially
that.
for you musicians that your stage was taken completely away.
Yeah.
And you just have to find another outlet. And I think which is very inspirational is that like Joe, awesome, you know,
Mhm.
are we gonna do this or are we gonna do this? Like
Yeah.
there's just two choices. Which
Well,
one
it's
is
cool,
it gonna
like,
be?
one thing that come on, come, good boy. This is Bowie. Sit down.
Yeah, buddy.
The one thing that spoke to me was rewatching this clip was that part in there where Bryant said, you know, if I'm talented with music, but I felt like there was something missing, and he was passionate about other things,
Right.
and I just thought that was really interesting because I gravitated to that
Mhm.
because I'm very passionate about music and I'm very good at it, but also too, I feel like there's something else
Yeah.
that can be there. Not that one is better than the other.
You just have to try. Life is too short to not try something that you want to do.
And that's why
period.
I've been going to school. And that's why I tried my hand at podcasting. Maybe this is it. Maybe it's not, you know, and that's okay.
But it's an experience.
But I'm having fun with it.
And you're gonna remember this, whether it went somewhere or it didn't. It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
have to do it. If you really like, I remember we talked about this for a long time, you know, and I was like, then do it.
Mhm.
Do it. And that's what you did. You learned about it. Edgar helped you out tremendously.
Yeah.
And here you are 20 podcasts later.
Yeah. I like what Stephanie says up here. I thought I just saw this on the break. That was super cool. You're doing well because you're being you.
Yes.
You're being authentic.
Mhm.
And which I appreciate that. That's
Yeah, because other people may have their opinion about your podcast, but at the end of the day, it's like, but it's your podcast and this is how you want to do it. And that's it. And I think everybody, like Taco Sique, you know, they were just sitting down one day and like, hey, you know, we should do it. And 3 like-minded people got together. They went and did it. They almost won the best taco in LA for their under 1 year.
Under 1 year.
And they almost won. And I was rooting for them so much and I was voting so many times. Because I was like, yes, they're going to get it. But you know what? They didn't. And that's okay. The fact that they were they're competing with so many awesome other vendors. That's amazing. And may I just say, they make a mean vegan taco. Thank you for being inclusive. I really appreciate that because we went so many times and I was like, I can't eat anything. That's it. If anything, it's just a quesadilla if I do decide to eat cheese. But other than that, quesadillas en mi casa. Like my grandma used to say, para quesadillas en mi casa. Which it means like quesadillas, to eat quesadillas, I can eat them at home.
Yeah.
But, then he came home and he was like, they actually have a vegan taco. It's like, then we're going.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's go. So yeah, they're amazing. Their food is amazing. I just great people, great humans, known them forever.
Yeah.
And their
that
family.
podcast was
That was so much fun.
That was a blast.
It looked like fun.
It was cool because too, like it was very outside my comfort zone because we had a live audience. Like we had a live audience. There was people there to watch, literally people that came out to watch the podcast, which I thought was mind blowing for me that people would come out to watch the podcast. I thought that was pretty amazing. And good friends and good family that came out. That was really cool. But like there was a live thing. We had 3 cameras. We had tacos outside on the patio. We had beers inside. And man, I would love to, it gave me a taste of what I feel this podcast can grow into.
Right.
Right now, I think that doing it more on this level is probably the better thing for me to do while I'm learning, because doing that was, it overwhelmed me big time. And if I had to do that every week,
first one.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going to do it every week.
But if I had to do that every week.
I mean, bringing all this stuff outside overwhelms you.
It's annoying.
So I get it. And I get it. That's why I asked you, do you need help? Yes, I need this cable. So I'm going to sit in the corner over there and stay out of your way.
I was trying so hard, ladies and gentlemen. I was trying so hard because I was running late today. And I literally had a towel on my head with my hair up and no shirt. And my pants were up halfway off, and I'm running around still trying to set up the cables at the same time and get ready. And my lovely wife is like, babe, let me help you. I said, okay, cool. Grab an XLR cable and then grab the HDMI and then bring that out here. Or do you want to do that? Or do you want to do my hair? And she's like, I'm going to go sit over there.
I said, I'll do your hair.
It's awesome.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. I tried to be helpful, but sometimes you're more helpful if you stay out of the way.
You are very helpful, absolutely. There are some things that you just can't do because you don't know about it, and that's fine. It's all good. We got Eddie Stevens jumping on here. Wit Dog, love you, brother. Thank you for being here. And Alex, bam.
Why? Oh yes.
Yeah, he said. I just realized something, bro. You sound so great as podcast host and interviewer because you're badass vocals on the mic when you perform. That definitely led to, being on the microphone and singing for 20 years has probably helped me, be on the microphone and learn more about this. But the interviewing part is that's the part where I think I need to learn more about. I have a somewhat of a gift of the gab, but I think the one thing that I need to learn is how to stop talking over people. Like you tell me every single day, she was like, babe, stop talking over people. And if you know anything about my childhood, that's all we did was talk over each other, because the only person who got mom's attention was the loudest kid. So we screamed over each other, and that's just what I learned. But
see, that's the difference. I grew up in a household where it's like, if mom is talking, you do not interrupt. You shut the hell up. You sit your little butt down and you wait. And there were many times my mother would be she was the most talkative human, if you could believe, and I'm married to you. But she would see a friend on the street and be like, oh, hello, and just start a conversation and go from A to B to Z everywhere. And I would just sit on the floor and wait for her to finish. And there were no phones or games or nothing. It was just me looking around for this conversation to end. And if you interrupted,
Oh, you in trouble.
you were in trouble. Just the look that she will give me was like, my bad, continue. So it's just different upbringings. But yes, it's like the whole waiting for the person to finish and then enter.
And then right when I'm about to, and then, like, see, yeah, that's definitely something I got to work on.
Something that you just.
So let's jump into the next week, which is week number 17. And this one, because that week before was so crazy for me, this next one was just a mental check-in podcast. So let's take a look at this clip. Someone on Instagram, and they said, what have you learned in college and how can you apply those lessons to your life? Which I think is really interesting. That's a great question. Especially for my, okay, hold on. I've been talking a lot. Skull. That is a good beer. Really good beer. So I got my AA degree from Golden West Community College in business. And I got it back in 2018, I think, 2017, something like that. And I didn't go further with that. I wanted to go to Cal State Fullerton and get a bachelor's in communication. And when I found out how much college cost, I said, no, I don't need it, because I wasn't going to school to get a degree to go get a job. I was going to school because I wanted to take the lessons that I would learn in class and apply them to my own business. So the amount of money that was going to cost to go to Cal State Fullerton didn't make sense at that time for me to spend that much money on an education where literally I'm just going to I don't care about the piece of paper. It's going to go up on the wall, which is great. It's an amazing accomplishment. But I was more after the lessons to apply them to my own business. And so I didn't go to college. Then with when the shutdowns happened, I found that I had a lot of time on my hands. So I had the opportunity. And like I said at the beginning, maybe I drank a little bit too much and hung out and partied and stayed home. But, you can only do that for so long before you decide like, hey, I need to push away from that table for a minute and let's do something with my life. So my wife was also, once again, very, very supportive. And I was thinking, I was talking with some friends about, I really had an interest in marketing, a really interest in digital marketing, in print marketing, in advertising. And so I reached out to my guidance counselor from Golden West, who's a good friend of mine now. His name is Damian Jordan. And if anybody out there is going to Golden West Community College in Huntington Beach, reach out to him, because he is the best counselor there. He's just, I think I should have him on the podcast, and we should talk about how to plan your educational path. But anyways, I reached out to him and I kind of told him like, hey, I know I got my AA in communications in business, but how difficult would it be to change gears and go for advertising? And he literally just jumped out of the box and was thinking about, okay, you can do this and this and this. And so we ended up applying for Arizona State University online, obviously. And I'm going now for a bachelor's degree, and it's called Interdisciplinary Studies, which is basically exactly what the question is. It's about how do you take lessons from here and apply them to here, and how do you take lessons from here and apply it? So it's like, how do things overlap? So my degree, Interdisciplinary Studies, has two focuses. So it's like I'm getting a bachelor's degree in two focuses, which is communications and sales and marketing. So I've been taking some communications classes last semester, and this semester I just took my first marketing class, which is, I learned a lot from it. But I think I learned more from the PowerPoints and the from the PowerPoints and the lectures than I did from the book. The book was rough. So, but yeah, some of these, and I'm so excited to go back, and because I still have all of his lectures saved and all of his PowerPoints, and I'm really excited to go back and take these lessons that I learned in his marketing class and apply them to my band, all the different bands that I play with. Really want to apply some of these marketing lessons to the 5 Foot Viking and see what can happen. Yeah, that was a thought provoking podcast right there, especially with after everything that happened. I had a lot of people that let me remove that from the studio. So I had the reason why that one came up. I posted it on on Instagram and Facebook saying like, "Hey, what kind of questions do you guys have?" And that was a really good question. Somebody had asked me about like what type of stuff did I learn from college and how am I applying it to my life. It was interesting because I got a lot of questions. A lot of questions that people wanted to like were asking, but I didn't want to put all of them into that podcast because there were some good questions that I could probably make into its own podcast. So it was just really, I think if I can take anything away from that podcast, that mental check-in podcast number 17, it's that I need to connect more with my crowd. I need to connect more with my network, and because they have gold, like they have so many great things that they can they can guide me in the direction that, I mean, I just want to give them a show that they can enjoy. I want to give them conversations and guests and things that we can talk about that are going to be fun and uplifting and we can enjoy and have a good time. And my problem is I keep thinking that I'm just going to figure this out. But I really, if I could take anything away from that, it's that I need to connect more with you guys, and I need to connect with you as far as like, what do you guys want to hear? What, what are you interested in? What kind of questions do you guys have? So, I mean, out of anything, that's kind of what I took away from that. But just a few more people that are jumping in here. Stephanie says, if you are your authentic self, people can see that. People are drawn to that. People can see through the fake. I 1000% agree. I think sometimes I'm a little bit too authentic because I literally talk about how I'm a shit reader and I can't read for shit. Actually, you're the person who left a periodical of a of a comment, and I was like,
he was like,
literally in my head, I'm like, shit, like here we go, I got to read this thing. But I mean, I guess some things like that, I guess I could keep to myself a little bit more. But yeah, that's that's funny. Steph is jumping in. Oh wait, Luis. It's funny because it says Elizabeth Saldana, but I know it's Luis. Yes, I agree. You're being you. What you see is what you get. 100%. And then Stephanie again. Yes, with 5 kids in the family, everyone is talking over each other, always trying to get the attention from mom. Very true. That's literally how we grew up. Was how we. If we wanted the attention from mom, I had to talk louder than Tambra, CG, and Shivani. And if they wanted to talk, they had to talk louder than me. So we just learned how to talk. And me and my wife, Marlene, at the very beginning, we actually argued a lot. I'm throwing your business out now. We used to argue a lot because she would say, "Why are you screaming at me?" And I'm like, "I'm not. I'm just talking." And she was like, "You talk loud. You talk so loud. Why are you yelling at me?" And I couldn't see it from her point of view, and she couldn't see it.
There are arguments. They're just...
No. I was just
like
talking.
legit. Like we're in the car, and all of a sudden, wow! Like, whoa, homie.
Yeah, like I'm just talking about the day.
Right
I'm like,
next to you.
and then we could go to Ralph's, and then we could buy
It's
some
like the
groceries.
whole vecindad can hear you.
You know what though?
Here.
She didn't get it until the first time I took her to meet my family in Utah. And we went up there, and there was one night that we were hanging around the table, and all of us were talking. And I look over at her, and she's like her eyes were huge, and she was looking around like, oh my God. And the end of that night, we went into the bedroom, and she was like, I get it. Like, I get it now. Now I get it.
But then didn't you say about my grandma how she was so self-spoken?
Oh, yeah.
But then again, Grandma was very soft-spoken,
Yes.
but
very.
she meant business.
Oh yeah.
So, big diff.
Donald, jumping in here. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you. Another one we got here. Just like you do when you perform, you give to the people. Same thing. Yeah, absolutely. See, like I said, it's difficult for me to read and stuff.
It's
with
not
all of
difficult
her,
for you to read. You got this.
With all of her, what? Me? I appreciate that. That's awesome. You? I'm trying to get through a couple of these comments. I know we're running over tonight. I hope nobody minds, because if you do mind, I apologize, but we're going to keep going because this is just fun. And it's very rare that I get a chance to have a podcast with my wife. So, sorry. It's but like,
I felt like when I was at church and just falling asleep,
yeah,
and
wake up.
grandma will pinch the back.
Oh no.
Yeah, it will be. I will be like, I'm awake. Hallelujah.
I have my own reading issues, so I totally get it. And
all
then
do.
also, oh my God, my husband says the same thing to me. He thinks I'm always yelling or upset. I tell him I'm just passionate. I tell Marlene I have a mega throat. I was born and raised with that loud.
You didn't say you have a mega throat. I told you.
You said I have a mega throat.
You didn't.
Donald.
You were like, what?
On our Italian side of the family,
yeah.
the louder, the more love.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, here we go, Dad. And it's worse now because Dad is losing his hearing. So you're even louder now, or at least we're louder.
Even Grandpa wasn't that bad, and he will turn it down.
Well, Grandpa was cool. Grandpa Andy had two hearing
Grandpa
aids,
Andy.
and he couldn't hear shit. And when he didn't want to hear you, he would just turn them off. That was
no offense, but he was my favorite Petrell.
Yeah, he was a good man. I love that guy. Let's all right, let's move right along because we have two more videos. Podcast number 18. This one was fun. This was with my good friend Kelly Hubbard from and we talked about emergency preparedness. Shamrock. He has a podcast as well. I am good friends with a lot of podcasters. It's great. And Edgar is one of my best friends. He's awesome. And he literally is the person who introduced me to the world of podcasting and gave me the confidence to go out and try it for myself. So I appreciate the fact that he's watching. But he says a good friend of mine, a firefighter, would really get anxious talking about the quote unquote perfect California fire. All the elements in place, the firemen to I think that's wrong. The
potential to toast the entire state.
Yeah, the potential to toast the entire state. Is this even possible? And I'm assuming that this is a question for you because you have so much data and you see this all day long. Is this something that's even possible, that we're kind of maybe heading towards a perfect storm type situation?
So we talk about the perfect storm in emergency management, and the irony could be the actual like rainy storm, the perfect earthquake condition, fire conditions, and when I say perfect, it's the irony of it's not perfect, right?
Exactly.
But I can't. So in terms of, I think what he's really pushing at is there a concept of a fire starting in San Diego and making its way all the way up to Sacramento and Tahoe? I don't think so. But what is the bigger potential is to have so many independent fires all start at the same time or be ongoing that we can't manage all of those fires, and that all we do is try our best at, what minimal effort we can put into each of them. And we've been at that point a couple times in the state. If you think about the same year, and I'm trying to think I've worked a lot of fires. Some of the years run together, but if you think about the campfire up in Butte County, and I think that was about 3 years ago, and we had fires there. We had fires in San Diego. We had fires in multiple counties. Last season, we had fires all over the state. And so I think the bigger concern is not so much if 1 or 2 fires can spread across the whole state, but if we have 5 or 6 or 10 fires all going at once, we just don't have the resources to fight them all adequately, and they will continue to burn.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's scary. Ladies and gentlemen at home, I apologize. I didn't want to scare the shit out of everyone here.
So, wait. Let's not scare people. So let's talk about how not to be scared of disasters.
Okay. I love that. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So the best way is to not be scared of disasters. I'm sorry, you were totally off. You had a planned set of topics.
No, I know. It's so funny. Everybody, I try to stay on point with stuff when we do these podcasts, but sometimes we get some questions and we go down some rabbit holes, and it's like, whoa, like that took us in a whole different direction. But it's interesting, and it's fun to go down those and figure out like, wow, that's an interesting question. So, that took me to a weird place. I'm sorry.
So, okay, how to not be afraid of disasters, right?
Yes.
The number one way to not be afraid of disasters is to be informed and prepared.
Very true. And I remember that part because I normally put together like something bullet points, if you can see some of that. I usually and I put together, and I'll send it as a Word doc to my guest if they're not going to be around here, or if they are, we'll print it out. We'll have it, and we have basically like an itinerary that we go down, and we talk about different points, different things that so the show flows well. But that's the fun thing about this whole live stream and doing it live, is the fact that people will comment interesting questions, and that brings us to so Edgar, he posted this really thought-provoking question, and I was like, wow. And so we started going down that rabbit hole, and it got dark, and she was like, yeah, if all of these fires start at the same time, California, we just don't have the resources. And I was like, oh shit, like that's some scary shit.
But it's true. I mean, look at what's happening, and how many days does it take for that huge fire to put down?
Be put down. Absolutely. And like we were saying in the clip, if multiple fires happen at the same time, that was I picked that clip because it was interesting to see how the rabbit hole we can go on some things. But if especially if you live in California, because Kelly is the director, she's the director from emergency preparedness for Santa Barbara, but she also worked in Orange County. She knows a lot when it comes to earthquakes and tsunamis and fires and this and that. And she just on that podcast, if you go and look at podcast number 18, there's a lot of resources in there that she gave me, websites that you can go and check out and go and look at and which I thought was really, really cool. And then towards the end, we talked about some different tips, some tips for us to stay a little bit more prepared with our households. And if you don't get anything from that, reach out to my dad, Bruce Petrell, because that dude is prepared beyond all belief. He's ready for zombie apocalypse. He's what?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were staring at me for some reason. But anyways, yeah, that podcast and it was fun for me anyways, just to get a chance to talk with my old friend that I've known since second grade. So that was pretty dope. But we got Dad is still watching. Billy, Mom Dragon. Billy, brother and sister.
Oh, you're awesome.
Love you, Billy. Good man, good musician.
Awesome human.
Yeah, awesome human being. And he's the lead singer in a band called DW3. And
I know he's not that well known, but
yeah, not that well known. Like everybody knows, and they're on the charts in Europe right now. Yeah, but so we are down to the last one, ladies and gentlemen. I know we went way over, and for those of you that are sticking with us, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for hanging out. I know that these recaps,
it's like we're hanging out together.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just kicking it.
I think that what I want to do.
By the way, you want to just announce which beer you're drinking?
Oh yeah,
next?
I think so.
We're
So we just
sharing.
cracked the last one, and we're going to share this last beer. And this one is called. This one is called
The Blue.
Blue Manchu, and it's a wheat ale with blueberry and vanilla, and it's 4.7%. And this is all the beers we drank tonight are from All American Brew Works.
Yeah,
in,
look at this awesomeness.
right?
Here.
Super
This is
cool.
super cool.
Um,
Thank you, Tone. Once again.
Yes, once again, Tone from Damage Inc. He laced us up with the beers and said, "You guys got to check these out." So this one is a wheat ale with blueberry and vanilla, 4.7. Skull. You want some?
No, he does not want some.
He totally wanted some, and you took him away.
Oh, blueberry, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Vanilla.
Oh yeah.
Exactly what it's
Whoa,
described.
that tastes great, actually.
It's like a dessert. It's a good ending beer.
Holy shit. That's a really good beer. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Oh, and Jessica. Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for hanging out. Skull, thanks for being here.
All right, let's do this.
Drink a little bit more because that was so good. All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, you receive, I don't know, the last video. So we're gonna share the last video right now. The last one. This is a video from podcast number 19 with Christopher Knight.
Woo!
And Christopher Knight, who is my neighbor, he is also the lead singer of Damage Inc.
We love that guy.
And he's an amazing human being as well. And I did a podcast with him in the first season, but I messed up the audio. I totally messed up the audio because we had these great microphones and I thought everything was working out great. But the problem is the microphones weren't working. I was getting the audio off of the webcam, which was crap. So the whole podcast, even though we had great conversation, it was a lot of fun. And that's what a lot of people told me. They said, your podcast, the content was captivating. Your production was crap, which, so I did this podcast again with Christopher Knight. So it was Christopher Knight 2.0. And here's a clip from that one. We talked a little bit last time about you growing up, but since having Damage Inc., you're also not only full-time musician, rock star, but you're full-time, like you have a real job. Like
I have a taxable job. I drive into a place.
Like when people come up to me and they say, "What's your real job?" I'm like, "This is my real job." When people go to you and say, "What's your real job?" You actually do have a real job.
I'm like, "What? You don't think I do this for a living?" God, if I could only pay the bills. You're living the dream, bro.
What was your first, quote unquote, real job as you were still with your band and doing stuff on stage?
Well, when the band really kind of kicked off and doing the Damage Inc. stuff. I mean, we were kind of weekend warriors once in a blue moon, like maybe once a month when we were doing the cover band thing. But when the Damage Inc. thing took off, I was working at a tow company at the time, West Coast Towing, and we did like police impounds, Irvine Police Department, Sheriff's Police Department, and stuff like that. So I did that for a little bit. Wound up switching jobs and getting a job over at a place called House Hunt. And what that place was like it was like the precursor to Zillow. So it was like you would go on, if you're looking on the internet, you're looking for homes, you would go into one of the websites out there, you'd find it on the search engines and, you'd type in the information and then a real estate agent would call you. So I did that for 14 years over there. I worked in the customer service department and it was, they were awesome with the band thing. I mean, it can be a little bit of a balance sometimes, the busier the band gets, you're taking some time, occasional Fridays here. I mean, we're never really let's crawl into the van or the bus, and
I don't know if I could crawl into the van with that'd be, have you ever done that though?
No, not, I want to say the longest tour we've done has been like maybe 3 or 4 days. So
Okay.
nothing on any sort of grand scale that you would consider a tour, really, which is kind of why I did the air quotes when we're talking about that. But I mean, travel shows and stuff, I guess that's kind of what we consider them, because we'll go out for a weekend now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was for House Hunt. It's like you work the day job, which for me is kind of fun because I work customer service, and you're dealing with people, and people can sometimes be people. And so it's like you're on such this high. You're like, I got to be James Hetfield this weekend. Yeah, I was awesome, man. I killed it. Had a great show. And it's like Monday, you're like, hi, can I help you? I'm sorry, you're complaining about what? This is awesome. And it wasn't always like that. I had a little hyperbole there. But
I don't think I could do. I think it takes a special person to be in customer service, let alone be in customer service for 14 years. Bro.
Well, there were different facets of it. It wasn't all, taking phone calls every day. So, but
even Daisy was looking at your stomach. I'm so glad that our mics were on mute right now, because we're watching the clip right now, and my wife's stomach is going brrr, and our dog is like, what the hell is going on with your stomach?
He's hungry.
You are hungry. That much is true. And I'm so sorry.
But Chris, he is awesome. He's one of our favorite people.
Yeah.
He's just, and you guys' chemistry is on point. Every time, like, it's so funny because, excuse me, whenever we go and hang out with them, you guys are talking, and it's just like,
it's like a live podcast.
Like
you're
watching
just
a tennis game, like, just like, you guys just feed off of each other so much. Like, I think that he will be a great co-host.
He's a great human being. So
I think he should do these things instead of me with you.
And, see, I differ on that, because I talk with him. We have a good thing, but I love the opportunity that I have to have you on the show, because when you get to be on the show, it's fun. We get to, I really enjoy this.
Thank you.
And I really value your input that you bring to this, because literally, ladies and gentlemen, after this podcast, we're going to hang out afterwards, grab some food, and we'll talk a little bit about what happened, talk about this, and I literally just learned from everything that we talk about. So, but anyways, that was the redemption with on podcast number 19 with Christopher Knight. And if you made it all the way, I think we have like 4 or 5 people still left. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. And those of you that had to drop off, and if you had to drop off, I totally understand. It's all good. The fact that you guys,
a long one.
This was definitely probably the longest one. Yeah. 1 hour and 47 minutes. This is fucking ridiculous.
Goodness.
So anyways, with that being said, I just want to say thank you to everybody for your continued support. I got a lot of fucking great shit coming up in the next season. Really, I've been working hard at getting some interesting topics, some great guests, and taking it to another level. So
Skull to you guys.
Yes. Skull.
And have a great night. And you didn't skull me.
I didn't skull you? Excuse me?
Skull, you guys.
Skull, everybody.
Have
Thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate you. Once again, you can check everything out at the 5footviking.com. You can go there and look at a bunch of cool stuff and all the different past podcasts. And you know what? I'm just going to throw a side note out. If you guys have a certain topic or a certain guest that you think would fit for this podcast, if you can shoot me a message, let me know, introduce me, connect us. I would love that. And just so you guys know, I know some people have been talking about the merchandise that I'm creating. That will be ready by next week. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to try and do a giveaway, probably on Instagram. So if you are not following me on Instagram, go to Instagram and follow the 5 Foot Viking, because I'm going to do probably a t-shirt giveaway, some type of giveaway. I don't know how I'm going to figure out, but I will figure it out in the next couple days and put that out there. So everybody that is at home, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. And I think this is how you end it.